Welcome to the show. Deputy Minister Designate for Energy, William Oreku, says efforts are ongoing to help the ECG recover about 200 million cedis from Power Distribution Services (PDS), which the latter has allegedly refused to pay. Following the botched PDS ECG deal, Boko Central MP Mahama Yariga claims PDS has not transferred the said amount, which was sitting in its account, to ECG. The Deputy Minister Designate says he is unsure of the figure, but the issue will be dealt with. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, is joining me now live from Parliament. Hello, Joseph. Let's talk about what other thing Mr. Edu has been telling the committee about this money that PDS ought to have sent to the ECG.
Well, from the information Mr. Mahama Yariga gives, when the PDS deal with ECG was reversed, then the situation developed where a decision had to be taken on what should happen as far as the way forward is concerned. According to the details that Mr. Yariga gave at the sitting of the committee today, information that he's gathered indicates that PDS had an amount of 200 million Ghana cedis sitting in its accounts as at the time that the directive was given by government that the ownership of ECG returns to previously before the PDS takeover, and that ECG should take back control of various aspects of the nation's power sector. He claims that from the information that he's gathered, even after this directive from government, we've had a situation where the PDS accounts that had a lot of this money to the tune of 200 million cedis sitting in, there's been efforts on the part of ECG to take charge of that account from PDS to no avail, and that the PDS is kind of resisting handing over the said amount in those accounts, and that ECG has tried to get through to the bank in question that holds this account to get those sums to no avail. So his direct question to the minister was whether he was aware of it and what he's doing to help the ECG retrieve the sum. The response from the minister was that this issue has come to his attention, but there is a bit of disagreement on how much the amount is, because then beyond the existence of this account, there's also been an issue of some individuals who claim that they were contractors for PDS and were demanding sums that are owed them, which were supposed to have been paid out of this same account. So then he's not very clear in his mind on the figures in terms of how much is supposed to be sitting in the account, how much should possibly go to ECG, and how much should probably go to the contractors in question. And he's been interrogating the issues. Mr. Yariga tried to push him, trying to get the details on what specific figures he's gotten. He says he's getting different figures from ECG and PDS on how much specifically sits in that account, which is how come they've not been able to resolve this particular issue. And then he added that this is actually a case that's in court, because we know that PDS has sued in connection with this. So then he says it's part of the reason why there's not been a full solution to the issue, even after it had been brewing for a while. And so he looked forward to supporting his minister to probably bring a full resolution to the issue with the necessary clarifications between the ECG team and the PDS team, and even the said contractors who claim that PDS actually owed them before handing back control of the power system to the ECG. And so at the level of the committee, the full details of it didn't emerge, and the indication was given that this is something that the Committee on Mines and Energy could probably take over subsequently and help resolve. But for Mr. Yariga, his urge to the Deputy Minister Designate was that when he gets into the position eventually, he should take the necessary steps to help ECG recover the sum so that then it helps them in their operations.
Indicated that the Deputy Minister Designate said he was unsure of the amount, and that there seem to be different amounts. Did he state specifically what these different amounts are? Because so far, 200 million is what Mr. Yariga has said, and that's what a lot of people seem to be working with.
He actually didn't. So this is something that became a very heated conversation in the committee room earlier today, because then Mr. Ayarega was pressing him to disclose the figures that he has, even after he said conflicting figures have actually come to him, and so he was unwilling to disclose what those conflicting figures are, to the extent that the chairman of the committee, Jose, also eventually intervened and said this is something that Parliament can take up subsequently and get into the details of it and investigate it further and help resolve the issues. But the minister was very much hesitant about confirming the figure. And in fact, even as Mr. Ayarega put out the figure and indicated the 200 million himself, he made the point that he wasn't very certain of the figure. It could be more, it could be less. And he made a statement that the minister could correct him if his 200 million figure is wrong. But that's the information that he has. So no one is very much clear on what the figure is. One other point that came up was whether wherever the money had been sitting, if eventually has to be paid back, it should be paid back with interest or otherwise, which again, the committee members didn't exactly agree with the minister on what approach that should take, whether interest should build on it over the duration, because it's been, if I'm not mistaken, more than a year, getting to 2 years since the said money has still been with PDS. And so those are all the issues that the chairman of the committee hopes the Parliamentary Committee on Mines and Energy will eventually help bring a resolution to, even after William Oreku ends up as a deputy minister in that particular sector.
Eye on this particular story, but there have been another deputy ministerial nominee who has been vetted, Abnose Asari, and then there is another one ongoing at the moment. Brief us on these.
And so the deputy minister designate for the finance ministry, Abnose Asari, also appeared before the committee. She responded to a range of questions from the committee members, ranging from government management of the finance sector over the last 4 years, because we know herself, like William Oreku, had both served in those specific positions. She has served as a deputy finance minister in the previous administration. She spoke about the country's debt situation and all the efforts that government had made in order to ensure that the country's debt profile is brought under control, and the difficulty that government had run into trying to manage the economy even in times of COVID-19. And again indicated that she really looks forward to supporting her minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, as well as the Minister of State, to help run the finance sector going forward, to ensure that Ghanaians benefit fully from the economic management programs of the Akufo-Addo administration. There are two others that the committee is vetting today as well: the deputy minister designate for the railway sector, as well as the deputy minister designate for the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, that's Yao Frimpong Addo, who had previously served as chairman of Parliament's Environment, Science and Technology Committee, and is kind of a senior member of this house who would eventually be appearing before the committee. So the MPs are going through that today as well, and today they're looking forward to vetting 4 different deputy ministers, even as they continue the efforts to ensure that as many of them are vetted soon, so the House can go ahead and approve their nominations.
Well, Joseph, that's a lot of information, and we will be crossing over to Parliament shortly or momentarily. But then, is there anything else that we need to update our viewers on? Otherwise, that'll be it for me.
So, Gifty, briefly on the floor of the House, there's been a number of statements, including what is being done to green Ghana and how illegal mining activities are negatively impacting those efforts to ensure a green Ghana. That's been discussed extensively on the floor of the House today. On the corridors of Parliament, there's been a number of other developments as well. We're getting more details on a petition that came to the Speaker, Mr. Alban Bagbin, yesterday, asking that Parliament intervenes in the Achimota School and the issue having to do with the Rastafarian students as well, with the court ruling and all. The petition has come to the Speaker as at last night, and we're looking forward to him bringing it to the attention of the House, for the House to decide the steps that they will take in order to help deal with that. Again, on the corridors of Parliament, the ranking member on Parliament's Health Committee has been speaking to the media, asking for an independent probe into the circumstances under which cement was actually carried in an ambulance, which is a video that has gone viral, and he thinks that's a result of a mismanagement of the ambulance service by the health ministry, and he's asking them to sit up. And again as well, former energy minister Kofi Ama-Boa has been speaking to the media about how he thinks the energy sector in the country is on the decline as a result of mismanagement by the energy ministry and government in general. So those have been some of the other developments in Parliament House today. Gifty.
Joseph, thank you very much for those updates there. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is joining us from Parliament. We're live over there. We'll be going over shortly to be a part of the vetting process that's still ongoing. As he said, the Deputy Ministerial Designate for Food and Agriculture is expected today. Deputy for Railway Sector as well expected today. You're watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Apia. We'll take a very quick break. When we return, we'll tell you about Achimota School and Ohineba Kweko Nkrabia, who went to school today.